Okay, so I just hit the go live button, guys. So we actually are live. Had a little bit of technical difficulties today. It's the first time I've had that in a while, where it was that much of a difficulty. But we're gonna put that all to the side. I'll explain it in a later post at a later time. But I'm just glad that we're here. We've got a great panel with us today. It's our healthcare recruitment panel. We're going to talk. We're going to give you some job seeking tips if you're looking for your next position within the healthcare market. We've got three great panelists to talk about that, give you all the tips and tricks you want to learn in order to help land that next great opportunity. In fact, I've got three very experienced recruiters here. My top left-hand corner, I've got Miss Paola Edwards.
All right.
Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I wanted to pause and make sure I said that right. Paola.
You did.
Okay,
You did.
very good. And then bottom left-hand corner, we have Mr. Brian Calhoun. Welcome.
Thank you, Ross. Thanks for having me.
And then we have Teresa Mazzaro, familiar face. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here.
Yes, President-elect of NACR, the National Association of Healthcare Recruiters. Glad to have your experience here, nurse of 29 years, which is amazing, as well as a recruiter for many, many years. And then we have Brian Calhoun. He's with the Harris Center, which helps to recruit. In fact, tell us a little bit about what you're recruiting for. Is it psychiatric nurses as well as nurse practitioners?
Yes, main focus now is psych RNs. We have a few different divisions that we're recruiting for. Our CPEP division, which is a comprehensive psychiatric emergency program,
Okay.
as well as the jail in downtown Houston.
Okay, very good. And then Paola Edwards, you're at the Big Ben Taub Hospital, Level 1 Trauma, big center. Tell us about a couple of things you're working on.
Sure. So we recruit right now. So we're a level 1 trauma. So we have a lot of ICU opportunities as far as specialties, trauma, surgical, neuro, medical. We also have med surge. And then we also do have some hospital administrator opportunities and educator roles.
Excellent. Very good. So folks who are watching, if you're looking to get into healthcare, you're looking to transition, this is a good thing to watch. But if you're already in healthcare, you already have experience, you're looking for something that's a little bit better fit for you, this is really, I think, a great opportunity for you as well. Feel free to put in your questions, your comments, anything like that in the chat there. We'll definitely address all of them. If for some reason we don't get to it during the show, we'll definitely address it after the show. I would like to tap into your collective brains and ask you, what would be one of your top job seeking tips? Those who are looking for the next position. Let's say they're a registered nurse or a nurse practitioner or any of those types of positions that you typically fill every day. What's one of those top tips that you would give? I want to start off with you, Teresa. What would you say was a tip you would give to help them and they're looking for the next opportunity?
Absolutely. So research the organization before you just go and apply. I work for Suburban Hospital. We're part of the Johns Hopkins healthcare system. We're actually not in Baltimore, which is where our main hospital is, Johns Hopkins Hospital, that most people are familiar with across the country. We're right outside of Washington, D.C. And I always tell people, the majority of us drive to work and we pass by at least one or two hospitals to get here. And there's a reason why you do that, right? Investigate. Find out if any of your friends work at that organization. Don't be afraid to get that personal connection as to why they love it. But the part about really researching the hospital, if you're a nurse, are you looking for a magnet hospital? You might talk to hospitals that will say, oh, we're on this magnet journey. And then, they've been on the magnet journey for 10 or 15 years. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what do you want? What's important to you? As Paola had said, she said, is it are you looking for level 1 trauma? Or are you really looking for something that's more in the behavioral health space where you can actually work with those folks and intervene at the most critical juncture in a person's treatment facility? So to me, I think it's really researching the organization, and we could just keep going. But that to me is the beginning, is really making sure that their values align with you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Those who are piping in, thank you for being here. We see Ashley's already, she's piping in. We're going to address what she has to say. She says, recruiters have yet to see my worth. So we're going to give her some tips on how recruiters can see her worth. I don't know. I don't know. Tell us about your background in the comments, and it'll help us a little bit because we're not able to actually examine your profile from here. So feel free and do that. Ashley, we want to be of service. We'll do what we can to help. I want to ask you this question, Brian. Whenever you're talking with a candidate and they're asking you questions, what's a question that kind of perks you up? Like, you know what, this sounds like this person's serious. I like this question. You know, like it's one of those questions you love to hear when you're on the phone with a candidate. Is there one in particular you can think of?
I would say just when they ask more about the organization, and I can tell that they've done their research, kind of like what Teresa was saying. I really just love for someone to ask more about behavioral health and show that they have a passion for working in mental health. That's what stands out to me the most because, you know, mental health isn't for every nurse or every doctor. So definitely hearing questions and hearing, you know, comments about, you know, just expressing their passion about being in the mental health field.
Oh, I like that. And Paola, I see your head was shaking like you might want to say something. You got something to share with us.
I mean, definitely when someone asks me what's the culture of the company, that sparks so much joy because they're interested in what's going on, who we're serving, how are our nurses feeling. So I love that question.
Oh, awesome. That is a good one. Okay. What's one of those things that when they ask you a certain thing, you're like, I don't know. Like what's one of those questions when they ask, you're not sure how this is going or if this is the right kind of fit? Because I do want to give folks some tips as they're watching this. What are some things they could do and then some things possibly they could avoid? Or is there something that it caught your eye when you're looking at the application through the applicant tracking system or you're seeing the resume come across? What tends to not get through? Go ahead, Teresa.
So, and I see this more, I will say, I see it more with new grads, but I do see it with experienced nurses, especially now that we've got a lot of nurses coming off of travel contracts and they've left whatever organization they were in. They've traveled for maybe the last 6 months to a year. I'm not going to say that I don't blame you. It was an amazing opportunity to really make a lot of money and go places that you probably never would have gone before. Like people are still going to North Dakota and, you know, other places where they have surges that are happening, the fourth wave as we're calling it. But when you come back and you're applying for a job, and let's say you decide to do a cover letter, which we love, by the way. People think, oh, nobody reads my cover letter. We read them, our managers read them. The worst thing in the world you could do is say, oh my gosh, I really want to work at Harris. And then 2 lines later, it says, and I love Suburban. So your attention to detail, you really, I mean, on a Word document, it's Control F, find and replace. Just, we all know you're applying to multiple jobs. It's okay, we get it, right? Just make it sound like it's about us because that means something, right? You don't want to, and then the other thing is even worse, cover letter's beautiful, but on the resume, the objective statement, which I personally think they should ban objective statements from resumes, but that's just my own philosophy. When you've done a great job with the cover letter, it's all about your hospital, it's all about your facility, it's all about wherever you want to work. And then the objective statement says something completely different. And I will call candidates sometimes if I'm feeling feisty, and I'll say, would you like me to connect you with that recruiter? Because obviously you don't want to work here because you didn't address it.
Right. Okay. All right. So those, if you're watching this, if you haven't done it already, not only spell check your own, I would suggest maybe if you guys agree with me, maybe have a buddy check it out. Maybe show it to someone else. Just make sure that, because sometimes, you know, it's easier if someone else is looking at it.
I'll volunteer. I'll help. I'll look at your resumes and cover letters, even if it's not my hospital. I'm happy to help.
That's one thing I love about you, Teresa. You're such a servant leader. You want to give first, and tell me about what you like to do when you're talking with nurses.
Well, for me, it's just finding out about what they're passionate about, right? You all said that, Brian, and you guys said that very eloquently. It's about understanding what your path is going to be and what are you passionate about. When Brian was talking about behavioral health, I was just smiling because I was thinking back 30 years ago when I was doing my mental health rotation, and I was like, this is not for me. And I remember doing my peds rotation, and I was like, this is definitely not for me. But yet it was funny, like how things click, right? And if anybody would have told me 29 years ago that I'd be in nurse recruiting and I'd be a nurse recruitment leader and be really knee deep in my association and all these things, I would have said no. I would have said, I'm going to be an ICU nurse. I'm going to be a C-130 flight nurse. And that's what I'm going to do. And I probably had myself painted in that picture for the rest of my life. And here we've got one of our own recruiters who's getting ready to become a nurse. And it's the same advice. It's like, you know what? Get in there, learn as much as you can, really listen, be curious, and don't be afraid to say, okay, what is next? But don't think that too soon, right? You want to commit, even if you're an experienced nurse. Maybe if you want to branch out and try something different, like we just posted for an ICU internship. I got somebody who was working in labor and delivery. They're like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of that. I was like, okay, you've got great transferable skills. Let's talk about that. So just really bring your curiosity, your spirit. Nursing is such a hard job. It is such a hard job. You know, it is not easy. So it's like, be prepared. And you're going to work nights probably, people, I'm just saying. Especially if you're new.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that quite a bit. So, yes, share the good news, Paola. You know, you're a recruiter here at a large hospital, and tell us what's changing in your life very soon.
So I'll be a nurse. I just got my boards done and got certified, registered nurse. And I'll be transitioning into cardiothoracic nursing in July. So
that is awesome. That is awesome.
I'll be calling her like in Jesus. Want to move to DC?
But on that same token, I do have something I'd like to say.
Please.
Sometimes we have candidates who express their interest, but then there's a phrase that they use that I try to educate them, like, let's not say that. I want to get my foot in the door. And I want to definitely try to change that. You want to make sure you express where you want to work. And that just tells me you don't know yet. Or you're not committed to the role that you're applying to.
Yes.
So,
yes. That's a good one. So that is definitely a clip, editors, for sure. We're going to make a clip out of that one because that is so true. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. If someone says, you know what, I want to move into healthcare. I'll take anything. What does that tell you?
Want a job.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people that have left their other career. You know, maybe they were in the IT or the tech sector, and it doesn't matter. They think, oh, I want to do nursing. And when I start asking them questions, and then it's like, well, you know, you guys get to work 12-hour shifts, you get 4 days off. I'm like, oh, wow. You'll be crying for 2 of those days, okay? When you first start out, you're going to be completely stressed out and burnt out. Oh, did we tell you you're going to be sometimes covered in feces and other bodily fluids?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I think people's perception is you could get a job anywhere. Oh, there's these glorious travel contracts, right, that you can do, and you can make money. And it's, you know, it's so much more than that. And you can't, and somebody who comes to me and I could tell that they're not a very empathetic person, maybe we'll find you a spot, you know, in one of the other areas in the nursing career where you're not in front of a person. I don't know, but nurses have to have empathy and compassion. You have to. And a wicked sense of humor.
Okay, no, I love that. This is great feedback. So if you're talking, let's say you're talking with a nurse and they have experience as a nurse and they want to move into a different area, what are some areas that there is quite a bit of a need, but there are some questions you want to ask to make sure they are the right fit? Is there anything that comes to mind for any of you that you want to mention? Some questions that you're more inclined to ask?
I'm curious, Brian, on the mental health side, what does that look like?
I like to know why, the reason why, and really understand their reasoning into transferring over or wanting to get into mental health. Because I feel it's important to know that why, to show, this is going to be a long-term thing. I try not to hire people just to fill a spot. My thing is, or our agency's thing is, and I'm sure Paola and Teresa, same with them. You're looking to fill a spot long term, so definitely knowing the why.
I like that one. That's a good one. Any others
And
come
the
to mind?
passion.
Oh yeah, the passion. Yeah. Any others come to mind? Let's say, tell me top of mind. What's a big need where you are, Paola? What's a kind of a recurring big need you've seen?
Definitely med surge,
Okay.
and that's for different reasons. Med surge is tough, and a lot of times it's the foundation of nursing, and so sometimes people want to skip that, and so that's been a big need. But definitely, when I see those nurses that are interested in med surge, I want to ask why, and I also want to see how ready they are, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would venture to say that when it's kind of funny, we all still say the med surge world, but it's kind of funny because they're becoming their own specialties, right? So we don't actually have one of those, and smaller hospitals probably do. Smaller hospitals probably have a catch-all med surge unit where you see a little bit of everything. And actually, for folks that want to try everything and they're not quite sure what they want to do, that's a great little place to go. Go to a smaller community, a smaller hospital where you do a little bit of everything. Like we're a small hospital. We're licensed for 228 beds, but like we have a surgical floor, and then we have an ortho surgical floor. We have all of our medical floors are telemetry floors. So we have one that's more cardiovascular, and then we have another one that's more kind of a neurotelemetry. And then of course we have a medical oncology. But it's interesting that people say, oh, med surge. And I'm like, no, we don't really have a med surge catch-all. Now, do you take overflow? Of course you do. But it's actually its own, it's its own specialty. You get your own certification as a nurse. And that's the other thing we like to look at is when people come in and they've embraced their passion and you've become certified in whatever it is that you do, right? So a certified critical care nurse, an OR nurse, a med surge nurse, the American Medical Association or American Association of Med Surg Nurses. They have their own certification. And that speaks volumes to us as recruiters, just like becoming certified as a psychiatric nurse. I mean, that shows pride in your profession.
Absolutely. So let's help Ashley. So Ashley, hopefully Ashley, you're still there because we're gonna walk her through here. This is what she said so far. She's from Dallas, and she says that she has an AAS medical admin assisting bachelor's in healthcare management, currently an MBA for healthcare administration, will complete in a total of 9 months. No previous healthcare experience, but volunteering. She's worked in the American College of Healthcare Executives Diversity and Inclusion Committee, board member for Client Services Advisory Committee, fundraiser chair at the ILT. So she's done some volunteer work. She doesn't have any actual experience yet, but she's in that field. Any particular direction we would like to give Ashley on how she could get noticed?
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely think she should connect with different people that may be in that role that she's looking to get into. Definitely because you can build a relationship. There may be opportunities for mentorship, shadowing of some sort, and they may be firsthand at knowing when there's an opportunity available.
Right.
That's a great point.
I think do internships because it sounds like, Ashley, if you're volunteering, and again, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, water, shelter, I don't know what you need to do from a cost perspective. One can only volunteer for so long. Eventually you have to start paying off those debts. So it's like, well, can you do an internship? Can you say, I'd like to do offer up an internship to different hospitals and organizations? I literally, if I'm looking at a hospital, and if I were looking for a job at a new hospital, I would go on LinkedIn and I would literally type in the name of the hospital and click people. And then you could research all the people that work there. Or like you said, type in the job title of something you're interested in. And then when you go to connect with them, don't just hit the connect button, write a little note. Right. Yeah, I've got my MBA, I've got my MHA, I've got this, I've got that. I'm really interested, would love to do an internship. Most organizations, when they hear internship, They think inexpensive hire who can do lots of things. And that is, and I'm going to use the phrase, that's your foot in the door, truly, like as an intern, because you're not in a clinical role. So it's a little bit more difficult to, how do I get in if I'm not at the bedside doing something clinical? Internships are a great pathway.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great point. Go ahead, Brian.
And I agree as well. Definitely intern, but if you're needing money and need to start working, focus on the places where you're trying to get into, and don't be afraid to start at the bottom and work your way up.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, you could go to work at patient access as a registrar, and you're admitting people. You're learning finances. And those are we've actually have master's prepared people that start off as registration coordinators. They're the ones greeting the patients, walking through that front door. Pivotal role, no matter what facility you're in. That's important.
I love that. This is very helpful. I just want to see.
I like that, Brian.
And see quite a few of our audience, they like what you just said. There we go. I just did a little clap for you. You guys probably didn't see that, did you? You didn't see that, did you? You heard it? Okay. So, so hopefully, Ashley, that helps us. If you have more questions, go ahead and pipe some more questions in. We're ready. We got a great panel here. And anyone else, if you have questions, we want to address those. We'll want to address those live. We'll get back in our discussion, but any questions you have, we want to be of service to you. And let me ask you guys, so if I'm a registered nurse and I know I want to make a change, or if I'm a nurse practitioner, I know I want to make a change, what is going to be the best way for me to get your attention? What should I do? What should I do next, Teresa? If I'm an experienced registered nurse, I'm not exactly 100% sure. I know what I like, and I know what I don't like.
Right.
What should I do next?
Well, I will tell you, the volume of applications right now across the country has dropped significantly. So if you actually apply, we'll probably respond. so that's just where we are today. We'll talk to you. And I think that it also, the team that's on this talk, it sounds like we're all people that are going to invest in the person who applies, right? We're going to redirect if we need to. I always tell people, connect with me. I mean, I specifically, on LinkedIn, I have a new grad RN residency program kind of closed group specifically for, and I would actually I'll invite you guys to join, because it's for healthcare recruiters, and it's for new nurses to connect that want to do internships, externships, residency programs. And it's specifically for that purpose, because sometimes if you're from Texas, or if you live in DC and you are excited about moving to California, you don't know anybody. So it's trying to connect those dots, right? So there's a lot of different groups that are out there. I would say, your nursing associations are a good way to network with people as well. I've seen students for new grads, but even if you're a professional, find out if there's a local chapter of the type of nursing that you're interested in. So as an example, we've got what's called the GWAC, the Greater Washington Area Chapter of Critical Care Nurses. Now, granted, we're meeting virtually still, but you can join if you're interested in critical care nursing. Our director, Kim Kelly, is actually one of the past presidents. She loves people that are participating. So now you're going to get exposure to the people that are on the board of that association and other nurses, and you could start talking to them. And you could attend one of their virtual meetings and eventually an in-person one, and instant network right there.
Oh, I love that. That's great. And by the way, you just made me think of something. It may help. Ashley, at any of the nurses or nurse practitioners who are watching this, is if you see, like what Teresa mentioned earlier, you see a certain hospital is recruiting. Let's say one of these guys are recruiting their hospital. It's good to look at the people who work there and see if you can connect with them, not only individually, but also with what they're posting. So if they're posting things like, hey, congratulations to this new person who just joined, or this person who made a certain anniversary, or we just won this award, or wherever the case is, whatever they're posting and engaging with, to show your support for those things. Because if you're liking and commenting on those things and tagging them back, that person will notice it if you do it more than once, most likely. Maybe if you do it once, but more than once, you're starting to create some good vibes between you and that person, and actually can start developing a relationship. I've had people who've done that with my content, and we have developed a relationship from that. It was just from them liking and vibing with whatever I was putting out there. And next thing I know, they're on my shows, or we're doing business together, or whatever the case is, So I think that can be an underestimated way to also develop a relationship, even if you're not connected with them directly. What are your thoughts on that?
Love it. Love it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has Yamini. He says, hello, everyone. By the way, Ashley says, yes. She said it was helpful. She says, thank you. I just got a mentor yesterday. So you're on the right track. Yeah, Ashley's on the right track. She's going to get there. We have faith in you, Ashley. So let's talk about some top of mind things that you've seen that are kind of the top needs you have, where you have quite a bit of need, very, very few applicants that are really qualified. Let's start off with you, Paola, and then Brian, and then Teresa. How about that?
Sure. So one of the positions that stands out is the hospital supervisor role. Typically, this person should have some type of critical care experience, just because it's a more well-rounded type of experience. If they have a nursing leadership certification, that's great. If they don't, that's okay as well. We'll support you to try to get you that certification. And master's prepared would be best. We definitely want someone that has at least 3 years of nursing leadership experience. But that's one of the most important roles. And the reason why we're probably not seeing a good applicant flow is because people are, thinking that they need to have that certification right away.
Right.
That's not always the case.
Yeah. Okay. I want to take off on that for a second. You mentioned something that's very good. I heard this when it comes to, especially to diverse candidates, they are less likely to apply for jobs that they don't feel that they're qualified for. So, and I don't know if you have seen that at all in your practice, but that's why whenever we're consulting with clients on jobs and how to make those jobs to get more applicants, we're like, you know what? Just do you really need this? Because if you don't need this, maybe we should leave it out, or perhaps make it preferred. But if we highlight that in the job, we may actually discourage, especially diverse candidates, from applying. So I don't know if y'all want to speak to that, but that was one thing you just sparked in my mind as you were saying
gender. I've heard, literally, I just read an article where 75% of men will apply for a position even if they only meet half of the requirements. 95% of women will not. And the majority of nurses, by default, we haven't changed it yet. The needle has not moved. The majority of nurses are women. So if it's being posted and they don't meet every single criteria, so like we've shifted to ideally you'll have, or don't worry, we'll help you get this. But here's what you do need, right? Yeah.
Okay, I like that. In fact, I think the audience likes that too. Yep, they do. So thank you for that. That was a great tip. Okay. All right, so that was good. So he's housing supervisor. What would you say would be the basic requirements needed for that position? What is like the minimum bar needed, and then we kind of go from there?
So for sure, leadership experience. And when I say leadership, it could be charge nurse experience, not necessarily you're in a nurse manager role, not that, but more of just you've assumed more responsibilities as a nurse. And a lot of times, because we are a trauma hospital, that critical care component, and you could have med-surg experience, you could have labor and delivery, but as long as you have a good solid 2 to 3 years of critical care experience under your belt.
Okay, excellent. And then what are some of the things that this housing supervisor would do? Like, what are some of the daily activities and actions that this person would be taking?
Sure. So they're very hands-on with our leadership, so our directors, making sure the bed management is where it needs to be. They do also report to specific trauma cases, and that's just to make sure that everything is anyone who needs to be there is there, and just staffing for sure.
Got it. Very good. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for that. Okay, so Brian, tell me about what's your top of mind thing that you're working on right now and your opportunities. Talk about, the what kind of person you're looking for, as well as some of the things they'll be doing.
Sure. So I think with us, it's at the jail, downtown Houston. And, you know, a lot of nurses are put off by working in the jail. So, I mean, and I understand it. It's not for everyone. But that's definitely one of the roles right now that I'm working on that's kind of tough to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Now, do I need to be
and
tough? Do I need to be a tough person to do that? Give me an idea of some people that have done this role. They've been good at it. Were they all like really big and muscular, or can I just be a regular person
no,
like me? I don't have very big
not at all.
guns. Okay, my guns are
You'll be
not.
great, Rollins. Hey, you'll be great, Rollins. You have your license?
I don't. I don't have my license though.
No, but definitely, you know, not have to be, you know, don't have to be a big muscular person at all. I've hired, you know, small, you know, not to say it like that, but you know, small women, females, and they've done great in the role. I think they've had experience though in that setting.
What do they do there? Like, are they working on the mental health side of things?
Yes, they are. There's select populations of folks that receive medication for various conditions or mental disorders. And
Sure.
so they're working with the psychiatric staff, the psychiatrists and their staff, and basically handling any nursing duties as far as med management. Yes. But
And I said that
definitely
joke.
don't have to be a big, strong person, but, you know, just a person who's a people's person and, you know, compassionate, because even though those people are there, they deserve the same type of care.
Well, and how to de-escalate, right? How to calm
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
situation.
Exactly.
And I said that jokingly because I know you don't have to be a strong person. I know that.
I know.
And there's lots, and I know that there's certain protocols that you guys do to make sure that your employees are safe. So maybe you can speak to that
Correct.
if you like.
Sure. So I know that they are escorted by the Harris County sheriffs that are there at the facility as well. And that's, you know, a big part of them feeling safe.
Mhm.
Then on top of that, you know, the training that's provided at the agency. They're trained on how to handle themselves. First of all, definitely to de-escalate any situation. But we do train and handle with care. But the entire team or the entire psych staff there at the jail, they're all a team and they work together. Any new person that's brought on board is taken care of. So they can definitely be assured that they should, you know, can feel safe.
Awesome. Love that. Okay. So Ashley came back and she said, is it true that you can use education as years of experience? I don't know if any of you want to speak to that.
If the job description or something that you're looking for says, you know, you need 3 years and or education or any combination thereof, that's where it counts. But if somebody needs you to have experience, again, if it's a non-clinical role, education is definitely easier to count for a certain level, right? So instead of entry level, from a pay perspective, maybe not, but from actually just getting that job, education, like if a master's degree, definitely helps you in lieu of otherwise experience, because they're assuming you've gotten some experience through your education.
Excellent. Okay. I'm about to move into you, Teresa, but before we do that, I have a little question for you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Would you rather, and you can answer this first, Teresa, would you rather have a 6-inch second toe or a 6-inch thumb? No plastic surgery allowed. So a 6-inch second toe or a 6-inch thumb. Which one would you take?
6-inch thumb, but my left thumb.
Ah,
Because I
why?
walk all the time and I wouldn't be able to walk if I had a 6-inch second toe. I'd have to have 2 toes if I wanted to scale buildings. But with the left, sure, it's better to hold my wine glass with.
I love it. I love it. Okay, that was a very good. You have me convinced. I think I'm going to go with Teresa on this one. I'm sure. I'm wondering if Paola or Brian can switch me over. And guys in the comments, tell me which one you would go for. Would you go for a 6-inch second toe or a 6-inch thumb? Paola, what would you go with?
Just the thumb. I don't understand why I would need a long toe. So I think the thumb may be more useful in some way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out like how I could bend it around my wine glass. Yeah, I got it all figured out.
I love it.
I agree with the thumb.
Okay.
So I
So
have to move up a shoe size if I
Now,
had.
what was the actual original question?
Yeah. Would you rather have a 6-inch second toe or a
No,
6-inch
I'm
thumb?
talking about the other one, the real one. Nursing. What were you
Oh
asking?
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
yeah,
the
yeah.
opening?
Sorry, yeah.
Go back to
Okay,
work.
I'll get back to work, guys. All right. So my question was, what's one of the higher needs that you've seen come across your desk where you've got some
Sure.
big needs,
Sure.
and then let's talk about the type of candidate you're looking for as well as what they would be doing in that particular job.
Absolutely. So, at a staff level, I would say that night shift, number one, nights, and a very experienced cardiovascular ICU nurse, cardiovascular trauma ICU nurse. Let's just wrap it all up in a bow if we're going to. So, we have a very active open heart program. We're trauma for the county, so we've got the trauma component to it. We're right across the street from NIH, so we've got patients that come over that are on these really kind of strange drug protocols. So we get some really unique, complex patients to take care of, and we need that ICU nurse that can come in and work nights. The team is solid, but we're leaning more towards less than 2, 3, 4 years of experience as an average, where we need to have somebody who's got, a good 5+ years of experience. What's a benefit, which a lot of hospitals don't have, is we have intensivists, which are the physicians that are there in the ICU. We have intensivists 24/7,
Oh
which is
wow.
a big plus because a
Yeah.
lot of hospitals will carry 12-hour intensivists, usually during days. So
Hmm.
the fact that we've got it at night, it's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed you said cardiovascular ICU. There's obviously
Cardiothoracic, cardiovascular.
or
Yeah.
cardiothoracic. So I noticed. I know there's a difference between just being ICU and cardiothoracic ICU. So tell me about. Give me some of the ideas of some of the activities that this person would be doing that perhaps an ICU nurse may not be as familiar with. And is that needed, or
Sure.
is that something you're trained for?
Oh yeah, we have candidates that come from smaller ICUs or even different ICUs. There's a hospital right down the street that their focus is more neuro and medical. So people can come from a very complex medical ICU environment where they could be doing transplants, respiratory patients, a lot of proning, and I could get into all the clinical terms, but I won't. But so that's kind of more medical, right? Then you've got neuro, and these people are getting craniotomies. They could be getting coiling procedures for a stroke, removing clots. But the cardiothoracic world is going to be kind of everything to do with the heart, right? So CABG, which is a cardio, it's basically open heart surgery. It's a bypass surgery. They could be having the TAVRs, which is the aortic valve replacement. So there's a lot of anything to do with the heart. And then of course your trauma is the patients coming in through the emergency department and really pretty banged up, and you need to be able to fix them up. So I mean, this is like that one-to-one care, right? And I always laugh when people are like, oh, I just want to work at ICU, so could I have one patient? And I'm like, you do realize that one patient is going to challenge you, and you're going to have a team of like 6 people on one person. That's how many people it takes to keep that person alive throughout that shift sometimes. So somebody who is, cool, level-headed, they like nights. That's our deficit, right? I have so many experienced nurses who are like, I really want to work days. And I'm like, that's fantastic. So does everybody else, right? So, and we want to take care of our own people too. And if they've been waiting to come to days, we need to backfill their position on nights so we can get that opportunity. And I think it's interesting, in our ICU, the people that tend to leave us are usually, because we're right near a large military installation, they might be a military spouse, so they might be leaving that way. Most go off to school. They're going off to CRNA school, or they're becoming an MP. We don't have that much churn, if you will, from like the fact that it's like the workplace, because the workplace is pretty awesome. People even that are going off to school, they could be going off to school 2 states over. They're like, but I'll come back on the weekends and work PRN. I'm not ready to sever ties yet. So
Right.
that says a lot about our department.
Okay, so Ashley asked about the name of your hospital. So I want all 3 of you to talk about the name of your facilities really quickly. So the name of the actual name of your hospital, Teresa.
Oh, it's Suburban Hospital, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, comma, a member of Johns Hopkins Medicine.
There you go. Thank you. And Brian, the name of your establishment, your organization.
The Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD.
Thank you. And then also Paola.
So the system is Harris Health System. The actual hospital is Ben Taub Hospital.
Thank you. Very good. So those who are watching, those are the names of the organizations. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, we still want you to comment. We still want you to participate in this, even though we're about to wrap up. We're going to look at those questions that you ask. We're going to look at your feedback. Even if we don't get to it during the broadcast, we will get to it later. So we want to appreciate.
And Ashley's in Dallas. You should look at Parkland for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Big in Dallas. Yeah.
Yes. In fact, we were going to have Parkland on, but we weren't able to get one of their folks on today. That was one of the folks I had reached out to. So we'll have them on a future show as well. Okay, so we're about to wrap up, but I have to ask one more question. Okay, one more question here.
Is this a toe question?
No, it's not.
I was thinking the same thing.
No. What was your favorite children's movie character of all time?
And it has to be a children's movie?
Doesn't have to be.
I think I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I know mine. Mine was Michelangelo on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yes. See, and we were able to kind of date from that too. That was like 90s, I believe, right?
Yeah. I know. Now I know how old Brian is. And versus how old I am. See, I guess childhood, I mean, I am truly dating myself because the old Bugs Bunny, and the Roadrunner.
Oh, I love Bugs Bunny.
But growing up, I wanted to be James Bond.
Ah, James Bond. Okay.
I wanted to be a spy. That didn't work out.
Right. But of course, you were in the military, but you just weren't a spy. You were a pilot, right?
And I was a flight nurse. I wanted to be a spy. When I went in, I asked about that. And of course, it was like that Goldie Hawn movie. They're like, yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want. No. For any of you that are thinking, like when Brian was talking to Ashley, I started my career in healthcare, in the military, in a dining facility. I was a diet therapy specialist, and I cooked eggs every morning in that hospital dining facility.
Oh,
that is where I started my career. A long time ago. And then from there, it was in the military. I was a military public health person as an enlisted. In the civilian world, I was a pharmacy tech, then a phlebotomist, then a CNA, then a nurse tech, then a nurse. And then in the military, I became a C-130 flight nurse. I mean, you could do anything you want. And it was a journey, but I will never forget flipping my eggs at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. I did not know that. See?
And 10 years after that, I met somebody who was handing me my flight nurse wings, who I had served breakfast to 10 years before that when I was enlisted.
That's a cool story right there. That's a cool story. You served them eggs 10 years later.
He remembered me. And I said, how did you remember me? Because my hair changed. And he says, it's your gait. You became bouncing across the stage. I was like,
oh, love it.
God.
Love it.
I was in Texas, Brooks Air Force Base, San Antonio.
Very cool. So, but see, if I didn't ask that crazy question, we wouldn't have got that cool story. That's why I love these questions. Okay, Paola, what was your favorite movie character growing up? She's muted.
I think you're muted.
Actually, don't. There we go. Yes, we can hear you now.
I've been thinking about this as you guys were talking, and I don't think I have one.
Okay, what's your favorite one now then?
I'm sorry?
What's your favorite one now? And by the way, in the comments, I want you to answer me. What was your favorite character growing up? Favorite movie character?
Okay, so I will say I'll tell you my favorite show when I was growing up, and this will date me, obviously, but not in the way you guys are thinking. That's So Raven. I know.
Oh, That's So Raven. Yes. Because she was the one that was on the Cosby Show when she was a little girl, right?
Yeah.
And then when she grew up a little bit, then she got
years. I'm missing something.
Yeah, That's So Raven. Well, how long ago would that be? That maybe 15, 20 years ago or something like that, or?
Yeah.
Early 2000s, maybe.
Yeah.
But Teresa, did you ever used to watch the Cosby Show when it was out?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the little girl on there that was the one that was Raven, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and she grew up. So anyway, all right. Well, listen. What's the best way for folks to contact you? Because you guys are all great recruiters. I know if I was looking for a job, I would want to talk to all three of y'all. Okay. So anyway, what should I do next? If I'm in healthcare, registered nurse, whatever the case is, nurse practitioner, what should I do next?
Connect with us. LinkedIn.
Okay, there you go. Now, if they're watching from Facebook or YouTube or whatever, jump on LinkedIn and you can. They're tagged in here. You can see Teresa is going to be tagged in here. How about for you, Brian?
Same here, LinkedIn, or go ahead and apply if you see something you like on www.theharriscenter.org and follow up with me.
Excellent. How about you, Paola?
Definitely LinkedIn, and send me a message. That way I can definitely connect with you and we can have a conversation.
See there, guys, I introduced you to three very friendly people that want to talk to you. So all of you who are in the market, registered nurses, nurse practitioners, you're in healthcare, connect with these guys. And even if you're not, I think it would be great to connect with them on LinkedIn because they're very nice, as you can see. All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. Let's say bye to everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thanks, Rollis.
Thank you. Stay for 1 second, and then we're going to get the clearance to go ahead and stop the stream here. And she Ashley says Sanderson sisters, hands down. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Ashley. and she said nice story. She liked your story, Teresa. Okay, are we ready, Jonathan?
We're good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we're good.